The International Business Times is reporting that 70,000 Muslim leaders in India have jointly issued a fatwa. They say the fatwa, quote, condemns extremist violence carried out by groups like ISIS, the Taliban, and al-qaeda. The document was signed by 1.5 million followers during a major annual religious ceremony. Muhammad Ehsan Raza Khan, who's a religious leader at the event, said, quote, it is written in the Quran that killing one innocent person is equivalent to killing all of humanity. All right, now let me pause here real quick. This is absolutely fantastic news. For clarity's sake, though, I should say, that comment from the Quran is a little bit out of context, because what they define as an innocent person is a little unsavory. So, you know, you can live as a dhimmi if you're a Jew or a Christian, but if you're not somebody of the book, you know, you're an infidel, and there's some other punishments for you, and I think you guys know exactly what they are. So, it's a part of the Quran that 100% in context, if you're a fundamentalist, if you're a literalist, you could look at that and tell these people that theologically you're wrong. So you could be on the right side from a humanitarian perspective, but you're wrong theologically. That's fair. But nonetheless, if they are choosing to cherry pick and interpret things in the most positive way, in the way that, you know, coincides most with modernity, that's fucking awesome. And we should say, right on, continue to do that. Because that's what we want from every religious group. Like I was just talking about in the last segment with the Anglican Church. How they're happy-go-lucky Christians who are nothing like evangelicals and dominionists and fundamentalists. So, you know, religion exists. It ain't necessarily going anywhere within the next 100 years. We can continue to chip away at it. Hopefully we do. But since it's here, if there are going to be religious people, don't we all want liberal ones who say, let's only look at the happy parts and let me explain why the other parts are bullshit? All right, they continue. The fatwa was issued earlier this week during the 97th death anniversary of the founder of the Barelvi School of Islamic Theology. The religious movement is known for its peaceful and spiritual understanding of Islam. Now, along with this, I should add that we have the American Muslim community raising over $175,000 for the families of the victims of the San Bernardino terrorist attack. And as we discussed a few weeks ago as well, the world's largest Muslim group, which is 50 million deep, they say. It's called Nahdlatul Ulama, or NU. It's in Indonesia. They decided to launch a counter-radicalization campaign to fight ISIS in the theological realm and to basically try to spread the message that they have the wrong interpretation of Islam, and here's a better way to look at it. Here's a way where we're good people. We're not immoral pricks. So all that stuff is positive. All these facts are important to discuss and to put in perspective when we have this broader debate. And I did the segment yesterday where I laid out, or I did my best to lay out, how being anti-Muslim, so Muslims as people, that is bigoted. So somebody like Donald Trump who says, ban all Muslims from entering the U.S., that is bigoted. But being anti-Islam, which is the religious doctrine itself, that's logical. That's rational. In no way, shape, or form is that bigotry. I mean, it's not bigotry to disagree with Christianity and the Bible. It's not bigotry to disagree with the Bhagavad Gita. It's not bigotry to disagree with Mormonism or any religion. So it's not bigotry to disagree with Islam, the doctrine, the Quran, the Hadith. Again, I think that's rational. So, people responded to my segment yesterday. Some people. Overall, it was a positive reaction. But people said stuff like, well, that doesn't make any sense, Kyle, because how can you be anti-Nazism but not anti-Nazi? How can you be anti-rape but not anti-rapist? How can you be anti-fascism but not anti-fascist? They think they're cute. So let me be clear. I am anti-Nazism and anti-Nazi. I am anti-rape and anti-rapist. I am anti-fascism and anti-fascist. I am, pay attention, anti-jihadism an anti-jihadist. I am anti-Salafism and anti-Salafist. I am anti-Islam, but I'm not anti all Muslims, because there are millions of liberal Muslims, secular Muslims, cherry-pick the good parts Muslims, cultural Muslims who just call themselves Muslims but aren't necessarily devout. There are reformer Muslims, there are Sufi Muslims, there are Ahmadiyya Muslims, etc., etc. And there are zero liberal fascists. There are zero liberal Nazis and zero liberal jihadists and liberal Salafists. So we have to be accurate in how we discuss this stuff. And bottom line is, if people are making that argument, think about this. If they're trying to say that, it's the same thing. If you're anti-Nazi and anti-Nazism, you have to be anti-Muslim because you're anti-Islam. If they're making that argument, what are they really saying? They're saying, no, I do blame all Muslims. They're telling you, if you're anti-Islam, you have to be anti-Muslim. Okay, then you're telling me, yes, I'm going to condemn all Muslims. I disagree with all Muslims because I don't believe in Islam, but don't you want to make a distinction between Malcolm X and Malala Yousafzai, who are Muslims, and Osama bin Laden and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi? If you don't want to make that distinction and you just want to say, they're all the same because they're Muslims, you are a bigot. It's the same thing with Christianity, I should say, too. So I'm against the Bible, I'm against Christianity, the doctrine, the belief system, the ideas, the concepts, but I'm not against all Christians. Why? Because I want to make a distinction between the KKK, who were devout Christians, who pointed to passages that promoted slavery in the Bible, and MLK, who was also a devout Christian, who cherry-picked the happy parts to fight against slavery. So if people are going to be as silly and black and white as to say, if you're anti-Christianity, you have to be against all Christians, well then you're admitting you don't want to make a distinction between the liberal Christians, the secular Christians, the Christians who cherry-pick the good parts, the civil rights workers, and terrorists, white supremacists, people who pick out the negative stuff in Christian doctrine and do it in the name of Christianity. We have to be smart and we have to make a distinction, even with conservatism and republicanism. I'm against conservatism, the ideology. I'm against republicanism, the ideology. But am I against all Republicans? Am I against all conservatives? No. Why? Because I understand there's a difference between Rand Paul and fucking Dick Cheney. They're not the same person, and we have to be accurate when discussing them.